My people, what up, though? We back with another episode of All Black Men Need Therapy. My name is Chief.
And I'm Bell.
And here we is again. So before we get into today's topic, we want to reflect back on a couple of things. Some of y'all who have been following us know that we had to, nix an episode and then come back to it and circle back around the block and do a, Facebook Live and then put it up, yada, yada, yada. Nevertheless, there were some important details we dropped in that joint that we feel y'all should know about.
We dropped in the episode that was deleted.
Correct.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Sabine and Ariel.
Still Figuring It Out podcast, our sisters and them. As a part of their podcast, they gave us a shout out, which we appreciate, so we give them a shout out. But a comment was made like, yeah, they use fake names in their podcast. Like, wait a minute. And then we realized we never disclosed where we got our names from. So I'll start with myself. Chief was a nickname given to me in high school. The position I played in football was strong safety, and it was nicknamed the Apache within the defense. And then I became like the one who called the defense and like took all the signals or whatever. So I became the chief of the defense, and that's how it happened. So
sidebar, don't say his name, but who was your middle linebacker that they weren't equipped enough to call in plays?
I'll tell you, actually, you know what?
Because just for the non-football enthusiasts, the quarterback on the defense is the middle linebacker typically. Right. So they call the plays as the quarterback does on the offense. So it's very, very uncommon for your safety to be calling your defense.
I was strong safety, though. You know what I'm saying? So I was essentially an outside linebacker in defense.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So
what'd y'all run, a 4-4?
No, we run a 3. Mostly 3.
Oh,
so,
yeah, same thing.
So I'm rolling down in the box a lot, filling the hole.
All right, so then it's not as bad as I thought.
Right,
okay.
Right. Nevertheless, so that's how it happened. Shout out to Coach Bliv, rest in peace. He was the one who gave me the nickname. So when I got to college, there was like 7 Michaels on the team. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, just call me Chief, and it just since then it's been, that's where we've been at.
So Bell is actually part of my last name, and my last name is Bellamy, and a lot of my teammates actually called me C Bell. Which I don't know why they just didn't call me Bell, but they called me C Bell, and now people call me Bell or Bells or anything but Chris, typically.
True.
But that's kind of how it came. That's where it came from. We talked about in an episode we deleted. You can't give yourself nicknames, right? Like that is an unwritten rule.
Tell a story about the homie.
Yeah, so my man we grew up with, I'm not going to mention his name, but he gave himself the nickname Roy Jones Jr.
Jr. Roy Jones Jr.
I love him to death, man. I hope he hears this. But yeah, he coined that nickname for himself, and you can't do that. So anyway, we decided to go with Chief and Bell. It was simple. Another thing, like some people have never actually called me by my first name.
Some people don't even know my first name. So, the topic of today's episode, drum roll please. The cliche or the new and improved or the new phrase term going out right now, entanglements, situationships, friends with benefits, cheaters, whatever you want to call it.
Right, we had to do it. I didn't want to do it, guys, but we had to, right? It's too much. It's too much conversation going around about this Will and Jada and August conversation. So I was like, let's just touch it, and we're gonna touch it and go over some past experiences. Long time ago. and how it showed up in our life, and we're gonna go over the origin of the actual word, like from Webster, right? And then now how it's being used today.
What is the technical Webster definition of an entanglement?
Well, first of all, the first known use of entanglement was in 1535, all right? And entanglement is something that entangles, confuses, or the condition of being deeply involved.
Okay. So it's very fitting for the relationship that they had.
And it was most recently added to pop culture in 2020, right? Like that. Prior to Jada, that's not how we were referring to.
Right, situationships.
Yeah, like I would say the most commonly used prior to that is like the whole friends with benefits.
Absolutely, friends with benefits.
Yeah, so that was the term prior to that, and for those who don't know what entanglement means or friends with benefits, essentially what that means is we're gonna do everything that a boyfriend and girlfriend gonna do. But we ain't gonna be boyfriend and girlfriend. You know what I'm saying?
We're not doing that.
Right. So we we gonna play house,
but you can't spend the night.
Exactly. So
that's funny.
the question that really, not that boggled my mind, but the question I had was, why do you think like this is more prevalent in our culture than marriage? Like the I'm talking to somebody, or that's just my shorty, or you know, we figuring it out or whatever.
I mean, I think there's a lot of uncertainty regarding relationships. Some people are still, again, carrying a lot of trauma that prevents them from moving forward.
Yeah.
It goes back to slavery. No, I'm just playing. That's been a running theme in our shows. Nevertheless, so here we go. Here I go getting my daddy issues, right?
Yo, bro, sidebar. I was talking to somebody. They hit me up. I don't remember who it was now, man. But somebody said, he's like, they complimented us on the show. And it was like, I'm not sure which one I listened to, but it was one where P was talking about his dad issues. I was like, bro, he talks about his dad every show. So I'm not really sure which one you're talking about.
So Pete, and tell me if this has a little bit of relevance to what's going on. So in assessing, you know, we do a lot of self-reflection, right? So in assessing me being single right now and not married and so on and so forth, I've had, you know, I got 3 children, you know what I'm saying? And there's been opportunities for me to take that next step. And when I look back at it, like, I remember when I was, you know, told I was having a baby, jumping with joy, right, just happy as ever. At no point did it cross my mind about getting married. So as I'm looking back at it, I'm like, yo, I'm having a baby. It's just what people did when I was growing up.
Right.
Like, I got 9 aunts and uncles, 8 aunts and uncles, you know what I'm saying? And none of them were married.
Right.
And my aunt was with my Uncle Eddie for forever.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, I just found out, God rest his dead, my Uncle Charles, he married my dad's sister. I take that back. I thought they were married. I didn't find out to the funeral that they never got married.
I mean, I think they got married later on, but like my mom didn't get married till I was like 22-ish. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Peaches and Eve.
Shout out to Duke's Word. So
shout out to my mom too. She been stressing me about not how P talks about Peaches all the time, but I don't talk about her. Shout out to my mom. And shout out to my Aunt Darlene. Today's her birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Aunt Darlene. G-Ma, we love you. Nevertheless, so Pete. So growing up, I was never really given that structure, that home structure with, you know, my grandpa, 22 probably kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Papa was a Rolling Stone for real.
He might have more than that, but I'll give him at least.
But again, he married my grandma. But you know what I'm saying? Like, even that husband figure was never present. So looking back at it, I mean, I know it sounds like an excuse or whatever, but I'm looking back going, yo, I was never really shown this is what you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, yo, people get together, they love each other, they have a baby, they live together, they raise the baby, everything's good, and that's just been the way it was.
And you double down with social media now, right? And everything is instant. Like,
for sure.
Like, think about it. Like, I forgot who I was talking to again, but we were talking about, like, I didn't date, like, in the Tinder era. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and my wife been together for 9 years. So I never really came up in that, you know, Tinder, Bumble, all of that. Mm-hmm. So I never really experienced that. But I was just thinking about it. It's like, if you want to see somebody tonight, like, that you've never met, you can see them tonight.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So I think the double down is you not having any examples, 1. Mm-hmm. And then 2, you got, for all intents and purposes, instant ass. Like if you wanted it.
The cliche goes around, the hookup culture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what we're in right now. So I think us being a little more, I'm not gonna say older, mature.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We have some old school ethics behind us. Like, yo, like we're still, you know, chivalrous, still gentlemen, still believing, in being the head of the household and all the other good stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I think it has a different weighing on us, but in the same token, like, I'm still single, and it's not a matter of me having a bunch of entanglements. It's about, you know, finding the right one and so on and so forth.
Let me ask you this though: do you ever personally like have FOMO, like fear of missing out? Like, if I wipe her up, I may miss out on.
No, that's not the case at all, because I think it's just a matter of finding the one to wife up. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's not about wifey anymore. It's about a wife.
Now let me ask you this though.
Here we go.
How many committed relationships have you been in?
4 committed. Like, this is my girlfriend. She meeting my people.
Right.
You know what I mean? All that good stuff. 4.
So
committed?
I've had 3 girlfriends. So I was the king of we just talking.
Oh, for sure.
Like I wasn't, because I felt like even a committed girlfriend, like it was just too many expectations. You know what I'm saying?
At a certain point, yeah.
Like that's just how I felt. Like I felt there was plenty of girls I was talking to that if they pressed me to be their girlfriend, I might have done it, or be their boyfriend, I might have done it.
Right.
But being that they were cool, I was cool.
Right. But then what's been happening is, you know what I'm saying, we, like, let's call a spade a spade. At one point in our day, we was out there getting them. So
yeah. That was the other thing too. It's like when like my relationships, I made her my girlfriend because it was FOMO on the other side, because I'm like, damn, she might be the one. Let me make her my girl so nobody else gets her. But meanwhile, I was out there in them streets, right? Then if I was more mature, I would have been like, you know what? Let me be me, right? Let this run its course, and then revisit it if it makes sense later.
I think the pressure that gets put on us to be the man, I think we kind of shy away from that, or we shied away from that at some point. You know what I'm saying? That's why we kept it. Oh, we just talking. We ain't boyfriend and girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? And then when they agree with it, it's like, okay, she cool with it. But then you know what happens? You get to getting together and you get it popping and it's good. Next thing you know, feelings evolve and you got to listen. But I said we was just friends, and now we the asshole.
We were the kings of that. Like I was very clear. Like, listen, we just talking. But like you said, the more you have that conversation, the more you see that person's feelings are going to develop, right? And then the lines will get very blurred. So I kind of had like rules a little bit, like in my 20s. So again, guys, we were former athletes. We were in the best shape of our life in our 20s. We were having fun, right?
I was on vacation and didn't wear a shirt the whole time.
Yeah, like we were having a good time. So, but I would always say, like this is like an internal conversation. Like, if you're not my girl, we're not going out nowhere. Like, I'm not going, and this is I'm gonna sound like an asshole, but it was mutual understanding. Like, I wasn't treating girls terribly, but I was just like, yo, you're not meeting my parents. Like, you're definitely not meeting my daughter. And again, this wasn't something I said to them. Like, I wasn't hey, this is not what you're gonna do. But we would just hang out. I was Netflix and chill before Netflix. For sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, we would just chill at the crib. And my theory was, if I treat you like my girlfriend, what's your incentive to be my girlfriend? Or more importantly, what's the incentive for the future girlfriend? Right? Because she's going to walk into the situation like, well, you doing what you did with me with every girl.
So I think that's where I go, or whatever wrong, because I'm genuinely a nice guy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm a nice guy. So I'm kind, I'm polite, I'm respectful, all of the above. And with that comes feelings. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I treat them nice. Yeah. I'm not out here, fucking them over per se. I'm a nice guy. I'm answering when she calls. I'm responding to text messages. So then the feelings develop, and then they gotta be like, listen, we talked about this, you know what I'm saying? And then I become the bad guy.
So then here's another question, and this goes on, I don't have the answer. Like, then why are we still there? Right? Because if we're saying, in like current state, if we're saying we're just talking, but if we know, right? We know if this person is marriage material, or at least girlfriend material. So like, why when we identify that, do we just keep going? As opposed to saying, I don't want to waste your time, right? I'm probably not the right guy for you.
Because one, and again, I don't want to point the finger at any of them, at any women or like that, but they don't hold us accountable. They allow us to have our cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
So we quote unquote, fuck it. We take advantage of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We have our cake, we eat it too, and then when shit hits the fan, it goes, oh, well, we talked about this already.
So what you're saying is, if a woman wanted, what she should do is have standards. And if we don't meet them...
I don't want to say, because then it makes it sound like any girl like they didn't have standards. You know what I'm saying?
No, but they bent them. To appease,
they bent their standards to appease what we were going through.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Rather than kind of, putting their foot down. I think that's what most men need, though.
So I think, I agree, but I think And I would love to get Ariel and Sabrina's opinion on this. Maybe we can do a follow-up episode. But I think...
I suggested we have them on here, but you was like, nah.
Oh, I want to do ours first, and we'll bring them in for their perspective.
Entanglement too.
Yeah. So what I think, though, man, I think it is... And I want to hear their perspective, but what I think is women potentially have bent these standards in an effort to hold on to the guy. But it ends up being counterproductive.
True.
Because
it
pushes valid. Us away.
That's valid.
Because we're looking at it like, oh, so I can get away with that?
Right.
Then I'm just gonna keep doing
it. But then
it.
I could also hear Sabine be like, well, then you got these hoes out here who make it easy for all the guys, and then have us look at the ones with standards, like dudes don't want to talk to us because we have these standards.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, why am I chasing down this girl who has these standards up here when I can go get the easy one over there?
Well, you know I guess it's like the saying, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. It's like, what are you looking for?
And I think as we mature, we start to look for different things.
Right, because I would agree with you. Like in my 20s, I don't know that would have been as appealing to me. Like the girl, well, I shouldn't say that. Like the girl that is like, no, so basically, here's the bar. Mm-hmm. Here's where you're deficient. If you're not at this bar, then, this is not what I want to pursue.
So that's interesting you say that, because I've had that, but it was still like, so with the quote unquote successes we've had, I think I'm speaking on you and I from the past, have oftentimes been quote unquote like pedestalized a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this guy's so successful, he's got a scholarship, he graduated from college, he's the first in his family, blah blah blah. Right. All that stuff weighs a lot. Like on paper, I'm popping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So when they see that, it's like, oh, okay, here it is.
It's almost like they're trying to hook their wagon.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like you said, they bend those standards for what the perception of us when actually we needed to kick in the ass anyway.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I had a shorty I was kicking it with, we weren't together, but like just who she was and how successful she was intrinsically motivated me without her saying a word.
Right.
On top of the fact that she was like, nah, you're not doing that. Like this is what you need to be doing. So it makes it even better. You know what I'm saying?
So what happened with that?
Distance. Distance.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it was just it was tough. So you know what I'm saying? Like she was dope.
Yeah.
Real dope human, you know what I'm saying? But like just off of the success she had and who she was as a person motivated me to want to be better.
Right.
And then she wasn't afraid to check me.
So that's another thing too, that a lot of people don't understand is, like, I was having a conversation and I was talking about like meeting people where they are, but understanding that sometimes they're not where you are. And sometimes the gap is too big to overcome, right? So hypothetically, right? And I'm just going to use this just for reference points. Like, say you're a woman in corporate America, just hypothetically, right?
Okay.
A guy you grew up with, you guys get reconnected. Mm-hmm. He has, a good job, but like mentally is not where you are in terms of like evolving and developing as a human being, right? Mm-hmm. Like, let's just say hypothetically, and these are just hypothetical situations. He has a good job. Say he's making $40,000 a year, right? And that to him is his ceiling. Right? Like,
he's content where he is.
Yeah, like, I don't want to do anything else because I am great where I'm at. And I'm good, right? I have a condo, and I have my car's paid off. Like, life is great. Life can't get any better.
Right.
And then you have this woman in corporate who is literally climbing the corporate ladder, but they have a connection, right? So what I'm saying is, she wants to go, he wants to stay. That gap may be insurmountable. Right? That gap may be insurmountable. So sometimes it's recognizing where each of you are.
But then you also have the stereotypical TV situations where, like, I think movie 2 can play that game. I think it was, I can't remember who it was, but like it was Bobby Brown was a character, and he was like a mechanic, chipped tooth, Jerry curl. Shorty got him a haircut, fixed his tooth. You know what I'm saying? Spiked him up. So I think it balances out. Sometimes when you have a woman who truly like is like, listen, I'm going to make me a man per se.
Right.
I think that's also dope. I think women they are, but I think they're reluctant to be assertive enough to be like, yo, this is what I need. And if you don't give this to me, I'm out.
But I agree, but I think also it's timing.
True.
Hypothetically, right? Like, I feel a girl in her 20s will be more apt to have that conversation because she has a more of a runway. Whereas somebody that's 35, 36, right, they may be like, I don't, in their head, right? Like their biological clock is ticking per se. They can be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't have time to mess around. So I should say I don't have time to mess around on my end. Like I don't have years to invest. So fuck it. I'm just gonna. He's almost exactly what I want. So I'm just gonna hook my wagon to them.
So now we're talking about the whole settling thing and like, you know what I mean? Now again, lowering your standards and that should. I don't think anyone should have to do that. I can say this, fellas, and you can disagree if you want to, but I know personally most of the lessons that I've learned about relationship have come from women, have come from making those mistakes, have come from being told what I didn't and did not or did or did not do. Like a woman who was assertive enough to check me, even though, you know, I might have had some pushback, it was still a lesson learned. You know what I'm saying? Because the ego stood strong at a point in my past. Like, you're not going to tell me how to do this. But in actuality, she was 100% right. My ego wasn't trying to let me hear that until we got a little bit older.
Right. So I think, too, is self-reflection, right? And understanding where you are. Right? Like, when I was writing this up, the example I was thinking about is like Aunt Viv, right, from The Fresh Prince.
Okay.
Everybody knew Aunt Viv, right? So, I don't remember what she did for work.
Light skin one or dark skin one?
Yeah. We're not going to go there.
We're not going to do that.
Aunt Viv. Just whichever one you remember. That's what we're doing. Aunt Viv. I was thinking about it, right? So, like, imagine being Jazz, right? Trying to attract Aunt Viv.
Okay.
Right? So, it's like, and Jazz may have all the, and I'm saying, like, Jazz in theory, right? Jazz may have all the confidence in the world that he can bag Aunt Viv. Mm-hmm. But Aunt Viv may be looking at him like, bro, you're not on my level. So, I think it's also a part of us that has to reflect on who we are as a person, right? Compared to what we're trying to attract, right? You can't be Jazz and expect an Aunt Viv to fall head over heels for you, right? You're two different people.
So it's funny you say that because when I worked a security gig, it's on Fresh Prince is on TV, and it was one episode recently where Will was trying to get with basically an Aunt Viv, and then he had to like change his character and be the like real preppy dude, but she was looking for the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? You know, the typical good girl likes bad guy situation. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it kind of, I hear your point.
No, that's fair, but I'm a firm believer of we are who we attract. Like I'm a firm believer of that. Like I feel like our energy, you can always attract down. Right, like Aunt Viv will never have a problem attracting the Jazz, right? Like that'll never be an issue. Mm-hmm. But like, in order for us to, I'll speak for myself. Like, in order for me to find somebody like compatible with me, I had to check what I really wanted for myself. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't know who you are and what you want as a person, how are you going to convey that to somebody? And then two, how are you going to identify who that somebody is?
And that's the difficult conversation that a lot of us are afraid to have or to accept. So we'll sit in the mirror and go, yo, this is wrong with you. You need this. You want this. You want that. But are you really willing to drop X, Y, and Z to get that? Are you really willing to let go of some of these entanglements to chase that real life, tangible thing that's in your face?
Right.
Yeah. Because I've lost some very quality, beautiful humans for just being stubborn and immature and just stupid shit guys do. And I think a lot of times, fellas, we need to check our egos and we need to grow up. Yeah. Plain and simple. Like I'm still evolving. You know, it never stops. But I think immaturity, in terms of like relationship maturity, played a huge factor in why I'm not in a substantial, significant partnership right now.
So if y'all listen, y'all, he changed. Y'all can holler at him.
I'm new and improved, man.
He's new and improved. You know what? The other thing too, I'll speak for myself. And I did have an example. Like I said, my parents are still married. Though they do that every 7-year thing, they're still married. But I think there's a lack of examples, right? So we don't know what it's supposed to look like for that person. I'll speak for myself. Like when I met Lo, we were friends like in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? No, I know. They weren't. So anyway, and I remember, like I was just coming out of a relationship, and I remember saying, the last relationship was the first time I thought that I could be married, right? So I then painted a picture of what it's supposed to look like. So I remember, you may not even remember this conversation, but I was talking to you and Austin. I was like, yeah, man. I was like, I gotta find somebody who's this, because at that point, being that the last relationship, I thought, okay, I could possibly be married. I can see myself being married. I started painting that picture. So I was like, I need somebody to be this, somebody to be that, somebody to like this, that. And I was like, when I find that person, like, I'm gonna marry her. And then like you and us both was like, nigga, you just described low. And I'm like, shit, I guess I did. But I didn't realize I did because I had a different depiction of what it was supposed to look like.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess what I'm saying is, and this could be the case with some people too, whereas if they do get to the point that they want to be married, they may look at it like, I mean, hell, I think you may have even struggled with this in the beginning too, where it's like, you had a picture of like, you gotta be the man of the house, the head of the household, and make all the money, and then the first situation where you was like, damn, this is a quality girl, it didn't look like that, right. So you kind of shied away. And I think that's something to be cognizant of as men too, is that it may not always look how you expect it to look, but what you have to dig deep on is the core values, right? That we want to hang our hats on, and what we are looking for in a person, right? So, like the example I give, like, this is a superficial example, but like, you can be looking for Claire Huxtable, right? But she may show up as Big Shirley, right? You know what I'm saying? But you have to look beyond the layers and get to know the person, right? Mm-hmm. Because that person, she may look like Big Shirley and have a smart mouth like Pam, right? But beneath all of that is everything you're looking for, right? So that's why I think as men and women, we have to stand on our core values and hold our partners, our future partners, to those core values, and then we can potentially start changing the trajectory.
And it's so funny you mention that, because I've I can't say recently, but in assessing my core values, like in the dating scene now, I'm really like, this is what I'm expecting. This is what I'm not expecting, but this is what I'm looking for. This is where my head is at. This is what I intend to have in my life, and I'm putting all out there now. Like, it's crazy, because back then I would never be like, yeah, I'm looking to get married. I want to settle down and have a family and blah 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 blah.
Speaking into an existence.
But yes, but I'm also like putting it on the table and allowing them to choose whether or not that's something they're into. You know what I'm saying? Because back then, when you tell a shorty I'm trying to get married, she's like, whoa, no, I'm fresh out of college, yada yada yada. But now it's like, listen, this is my objective. This is where it is. And as much as it's for me, I think it's important now for my kids. Like, my kids need to see me. Like, my boy, I teach them all the gentleman-like qualities I can. They're young. My daughter, she knows how I treat her and what to expect and yada yada yada. Right. But I think it's important for them to see their father loving on a woman, so they can see what that's supposed to feel like. Right. What that's supposed to look like. You're
gonna give them a great depiction of what a man should look like. Right. And the complete package would be, what a man looks like and how he takes care of his woman, his kids, and his family. Home. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Exactly. So that's a good point. And I think in order for us to understand entanglement, though, man, I think we have to understand, like, culture and environment, right? Because I feel that this, and for what I call it what it is, like, I feel like our culture breeds this. Like,
the hookup culture. That's just where we're at right now. But I think it needs to be, again, it needs to stem from those core values on both ends of the spectrum, male and female. Say, this is what I'm looking for. This is where we're at, and don't accept anything less. Right.
And I think it's important too that when you establish those core values, that if you deploy them with somebody that doesn't work, that it's important not to retreat. Right, not to like back off them and like, with the next person, I'm not going to talk about my core values, because
true,
you are who you are, right? And you like what you like. So it's like, if that person's not meeting that, you're going to potentially save everybody some time.
Yeah, but I mean, see, and that's a double-edged sword too, because those are also conversations we need to start having. We need to start having conversations like, this isn't working for me. What can we do to fix it? Rather than just, like you said, pulling back. I'm not getting this. I'm gonna pull back, because we're gonna have to make some sacrifices here and there.
The hookup culture allows individuals to be like, well, I'm off to the next. Right. Because it's like
without a blink of an eye.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So this is interesting.
I think also too, when we open the door with, we're just gonna be friends or friends with benefits, it allows. So I speak for myself. Right. When we have that conversation, I still may catch feelings, but I don't express them. I don't expose them. I keep them tucked in. So You told me this is what it
why
was.
do you do that?
Because I'm going based off the understanding that we had in the beginning. You said this is what it was. This is where I'm at. Now, if we both are feeling this way, then maybe we can continue to pursue a relationship. But I think in the course of the hookup culture, you get with a girl, you start doing what you do, you develop feelings, but somewhere along the lines you realize, okay, you know what? I probably can't continue a relationship with her, but the sex is good. So let me just stick around either until she
and then
lets it go, or till I find something new, or whatever. However it ends that you separate, I think you get so comfortable with having it there that you have your cake and you eat it too.
And then it becomes like that's where like this becomes a like systemic issue, because now you got good sex, so you can't wholeheartedly pursue that person with those core values that you're looking for, because you can't still second with your foot on first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what happens is we do that, right? So we keep having good sex, and then we find somebody else, and then we didn't stop this other side, and now we're not giving our all to that person, and it becomes a revolving door.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So in other words, fellas, if you are true to your core values, you gotta close chapters. You have to close chapters and live those single months until you find the one and like really.
If it's important to you.
If it's important.
Yeah, if it's important to you, right? Like we were all 20 something and shit. You might be 30 something still not looking to be married.
You see the meme I put that said that married by 30 is just looking real 45ish right now.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the individual, but like not in an effort not to talk in circles. I'm gonna give my final thought. So my final thought is be clear on your expectations and let them be known. Just be cognizant that it starts with you, right? Like I stand by, guys. You are who you attract, right? If you want something in an individual, you be that person first, right? You want somebody 100% committed. You want somebody that's driven, goal oriented, all of that. You be that person first, and then you show up as that person, and then make people rise to your standards.
Like some Gandhi shit, like be the change you wish to see type shit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
you just went philosophical on them and whatnot.
I'm just saying, man. Like it is what it is. It's just like anything. It's just like sports. It's just like, you know what I'm saying. Like if you want to lead, you got to lead. It starts with you.
No, very much so. It's about putting in the work and checking your ego at the door and setting some standards.
If y'all haven't picked up on it, my man's ego was an issue in the past relationships. He's mentioned it at least 3 times.
But it wasn't really an issue for the relationship. It was an issue with me.
Well, how those relationships work out?
That's what I'm saying. Like the woman never was like, yeah, his ego's too strong. It was like me just being like, yo, you need to fucking chill out, man. And this is probably why you lost her, because your stubborn ways. And
well, exactly. It ended up being an issue for her.
Right. But it wasn't like I'm like the egotistical dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think any woman I've ever dated would be like, yeah, he's an ego man.
No. I don't think it was that. I think you were very headstrong on traditional settings. Like, I am man, you are woman, right? Like not like not butt naked, barefoot in the kitchen, not like that far, but like I am the man. Like you've made that very clear. I think you've definitely eased back on that, and being open to allowing it to take whatever form it takes. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Joe, my man is single. He's out here in these streets.
We just had a PSA for my life.
You know what I'm saying? Hit him up at allblackmenneedtherapy@gmail.com. All Black Men Need Therapy on Instagram. All Black Men Need Therapy on Facebook. My man, he is available and he's in Central Connecticut.
I hate this dude. With that being said, y'all, this has been another episode of All Black Men Need Therapy. Do us all a favor and hug a black man today and tomorrow. We out.
Peace.